Once again, I welcome you guys to the Make IT Simple YouTube channel. This video is continuation to my previous video, which is all about learning in Terraform. If you didn't go through my previous video, just go through it and come back to this video. I have given the video link in the description section. In this video, I'm going to talk about variables in Terraform. Let's first see why we need a variables. So this is a kind of an example which I did in my last video. I just created an EC2 instance using a Terraform code. Okay, if you look into it over here, I have everything in a one file, like the provider and the resources and all. But everything in one file is not so great, right? So for that and all, we need to make use of variables. Next is we need to use variables to hide secrets. Like if you look into the example, I have my shared config file, credential files. If you're using access key and secret key means you will have all your secrets over here. We don't want that AWS credentials in our Git repository, right? If you are just going to commit this file means together with the credentials, it will going to appear in the version control in our Git repository. And typically we don't put credentials in our repository. So we are going to move it to the separate file, and that separate file we are not going to commit. And next one is we are using variables for elements that might change. So we are going to make the files a little bit more generic. That is, the element that might change, we can move it to the variable. So in the example right hand side, right, you can see the AMI ID. The AMI IDs are different per region. So it is good thing to move this AMI to these variables so that we can change them whenever we change the region. You might even deploy our infrastructure in multiple regions. In that case, it's really good to have them in variables. Next is use variables for reuse. You might what I can say is you can also use the variables to make it yourself easier to reuse when you are using Terraform files. So when they are more generic means it is easier for us to reuse them for our projects. So let's get into the demo. And this is a piece of code which we did in the last demo, like instead.tf. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this one. I don't want this providers over here. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a providers.tf. I'm just creating a file with providers.tf, and I forgot to mention tf is the extension for Terraform files. And I'm just going to copy this one and giving it over here. So now what I'm going to do is I don't want to hardcode it over here, so I'm going to remove this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just removing it. I'm not going to fill this value. Instead of that, I'm going to refer a variable, right? Because I'm just going to make it in a variable. For referring a variable, what I do is we need to use a dollar sign. So inside double quotes, I make use of dollar sign and then curly braces. And inside that, what I'm going to do is I'm just using the keyword var, then dot, and the name of the variable. For example, I make use of AWS_config. That's it. And similarly, rest of all the other variables, just copying it and pasting it over here. And then similarly for here also. And I don't want this to be in the list format. And I will change the name of it, AWS config. This one is AWS credentials. DN credentials. And this one is profile, AWS_profile. That's it. Just saving this file. And if you see here means the name of the first variable is AWS config and credentials and AWS profile. So what you do is we need to define this in a variables file. So I'm going to create another file called vas.tf, variables.tf, vas.tf. That's it. And here I'm going to declare this variables using the keyword variable, and see, it will automatically have this because I have the extensions, but I don't want to use like this. I'm just going with a minimized version, like variable. Inside the double quotes, I am copying this value, AWS config. This is a variable name, right? I'm just adding it over here. That's it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just giving it empty, like curly braces. And similarly for the rest of the values, Control V, and then again, and these are the values I'm going to use, credentials, and one more is profile, and what I'm going to do is like I'm going to add one more variable which will name as region, AWS underscore region. Here what I'm going to do is like I'm not giving it the empty one, I'm just giving the default value, default equal to, I'm just giving the region of default west-2. That's it. And okay, the name is wrong, the variable. Yeah, that's it. See, if this curly braces are empty means we are not defining any value. If we specify anything with a default equal means so we have something as default value. That's it. Now what we did is like here we just moved this provider from here to this file, and here instead of filling the value I'm just declaring the variable, and here we'll be mentioning that variable name with empty values. So during the runtime it will take from some other file. For that what I'm going to do is like I'm just going to create another file called terraform dot tf vars. That's it. And here what I'm going to do is like I'm just going to give the values, not give the values, I'm going to put the values for each of these variables, like AWS config inside this double quotes, and similarly for AWS credential and AWS profiles. And here I will fill this value, let's see, and AWS profiles, double quotes, and I'll just take this value, like this is my value, right? I'm taking this value and putting it over here, and for the credentials I'm just taking this value, adding it over here, and for the config just copying it over here and adding it and saving it. That's it. And here this is a file going to be kind of secret file, and here we added this file, added this value, right? And we didn't add this in our Git repository. So what we'll do is like we add this file in our git ignore, which means it will never appear in our Git repository, because we never really wanted this kind of credentials exposed in our Git repository, right? So we will be adding this file in our git ignore, so this will not be added in our Git repository. Now back to our instance file, I move this to the provider, right? So I don't want this to be here, and just moving this one. And if you look it over here again, you can be able to see my AMI is hard coded. I don't want this to be hard coded because it will differ based on the region, right? So again I need this AMI to be moved to the variable section. So again going to this variable sections, what I'm going to do is like I'm just going to create another variable. For that I'm just getting a variable. The variable name I can make it as AMID. So this is the AMI, right? So this is just a kind of variable AMID, and inside the double quotes just make use of a type equal to map. There are a lot of types will be there. Basically the types are like it's a kind of string or number or boolean, or it will kind of list of string or list of object and all. In future in many videos I can able to explain with the example like what are types and all. Here I'm going to make use of type kind map, because map is a kind of lookup. If you send the key means it will look into this type map and it will get the value. For that I make use of it. I'm just giving the default value, and inside the default what I'm going to do is like I'm just giving the region US east -1 equal to something, some values like AMI something 1 2 3 4, and similarly I'm just giving the other values for other regions like this, and here US east 2, and here US west 2, and similarly this one. Just for example I'm just giving some values, and here I'm just giving some values. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, now we have this variable AMID, and this is a type map, right? So here what I'm going to do is like I'm just make use of lookup keyword. Lookup means it's just a kind of lookup to the map variable. So what I am going to do is like I am just removing this one AMID inside the double quotes. What I'm going to do is like I'm just removing it and just make use of the dollar symbol again, and then inside the curly braces I'm make use of lookup keyword, lookup, And what this lookup will do is like it will take two parameters. The first parameter is the variable itself. So the variable is variable.amid. This is a variable.amid, and then the key we need to pass. The key is basically the region, which region I need to take. Similarly, var.aws underscore region. So this is the region. So now what we'll do is like it will look into the type of variable. The variable name is amid. So here, if you are passing the region, means it will take the particular value. That's it. Now what I am going to like, I'm just going to run this with the command terraform.plan. So I'm just make use of terraform plan. Let's see what we're going to do over here. As you see, like it is going to launch the instance with the amid what we mentioned in the wars file. So the wars file, the default region is US West 2, and for that the amid is like AMI1211 like this. Let's see if you are going over here, and you can able to see the AWS instance, and the AMI is 12111. That's it. And you can also test this by doing the Terraform apply, but you don't need this necessarily. What you can do is like, and just delete this file, and you will run this again. Let's see what will happen. I'm just deleting this file, moving to recycle bin, and again I will run this code, the Terraform plan. Now what it will do is like it will add the value, like what is the AWS config value, and just giving the value like AWS config value, AWS credentials like this, and the AWS profile. That's it. So it will ask in the command prompt. So in this video, what it is like, instead of writing everything in the same file, we just move it to a separate file, and we make use of variables thing, and we move the variables like the credentials or secret file in a separate file called terraform.tfvars. So that will not appear in our Git repository. So if you have any doubts on implementing this, just add in the comment section. I'll be very happy to help you guys. Thanks for watching my video. Have a good day, guys.